you have to go to the web app or the Fabric Forge here. And as you can see, we have some prerequisites here. And the prerequisites consist of capacity ID, user ID, client secrets, and many more things. So in order to get, the client ID, client secrets, all other stuff, at first you have to create an app registration in your Azure uh, environment. Okay, so either you can create the app registration or one of your IT team member can create it for you. But the most important thing about app registration is you have to apply proper permissions, and also we also need you also need to ensure proper authentication. So for API permissions, as you can see, just follow as you can see in the picture, give Azure SQL database the admin Microsoft Graphs user.read, and then other offline access OpenID profile. So these ones also need the admin consent. All right. And in the authentication, make sure for mobile and desktop applications, you check mark this thing. So OAuth 2, because all the authentication happening in the workflow is actually via the BRR authentication token. So it actually hits the OAuth 2 and gets authenticated. All right. So when once you figure out your app registration, make sure note down your client ID, client secret. And for the others, let's fill up those one after another. Uh, so let's start with the N8N webhook trigger URL. So if you go to the workflow automation thing, uh, if you click here and then click on open, you'll see a link like this. So if you click here, then the URL will get copied. So go back to Fabric Forge and then just paste the URL here. After that, make sure you input your client ID and client secret. So I will just input mine. So client secret, tenant ID. You also need to input your tenant ID, user ID, capacity ID, and OpenAI API key. So for the OpenAI API key, just go to api.openai.com, and from there create an API key, and also like get some dollars behind your API key, so it will actually work properly. And for the tenant ID, you can actually search in your Power BI admin portal, then you will get your tenant ID. And similarly for the capacity ID, you will find it in your capacity settings. So when you will select the cogwheel of your capacity, then you'll get to see the capacity ID. And for the user ID, you can use a Fabric CLI and a specific code for it to get the user ID. And as these are actually sensitive information, I am not going to show you my information or how I'm actually receiving it. You can Google it or see it from different YouTube videos and figure it out yourself. So let me just input all other things and we will get started. All right, so we are ready with our prerequisites, but one thing to be very careful of, that is, please make sure to turn on your capacity before moving forward. So now let's move on to our workspace configuration. So at first, let's give the workspace a name. So we can just use NA10 test workflow. Now for the lakehouse, let's add a lakehouse, suppose sales. Let's attach a notebook. Let's name it sales table creator. Let's create a table that I want. I want a customer table that will have columns, customer ID, and let's make the column type as varchar. We also need the customer name. So let's make the type also varchar. Similarly, let's add another table and let's call it as products. Let's add the columns. So product ID, we can make it varchar. Let's add product name, varchar. Let's add product subcategory ID, and we can make it integer. And after that, let's add the warehouses. So we can add one warehouses that is transformed maybe, and let's add another one, EDW. All right. And also let's have another lake house, and let's just name it something like Gold LH. And we are not going to add any notebooks or tables here. So this is how we set up, or how we actually want our workspace to look like. Our workspace name is N18 test workflow. There should be two lake houses, sales. Sales will contain two tables, the customer and products. And then we will have another lake house that is Gold LH. And then we will have two warehouses. One is called transformed and another one is called EDW. Now, if I go to preview and submit, then as you can see, are actually formatted into a JSON data structure. And now we can either download this JSON file to reuse it in future by using the import JSON functionality, or we can click on submit and provision to actually get started. But before getting started, we actually need to go to the workflow automation